I would like to make a motion before to move the agenda, including the amended items, and then shortly after, well, I'd like to make that motion first.
Through the chair, under the law, Mr. Finger would have to address the addendum. He'd have to read them into the record.
Before we do that, just a couple of clarifications on the agenda. There was a typo. On page 2, item B, latchkey account bills list should have read 0. $2,910,284.91 is the correct amount for item E, the bills list for the warrant account. Typo. Page 3, item N, an additional sentence at the end of the second paragraph, 3, appraisal fees shall not exceed $10,000 without subsequent board approval. On page,
If required. That is additional money required. Thank you.
on page 19, at the very top, the first line says effective September 1st. That date was incorrect. It should read effective September 15th. And on page 20 of the agenda, item 20, where it has the paraprofessional, it was not listed, school. It should say OSS, Oak Street School. We then have several addendums on the personnel and the items of the superintendent, certificated transfers of Dina Gellis, school psychologist preschool to school psychologist Oak Street, effective October 4th. Victoria Loftman, school psychologist OSS, the school psychologist and preschool program, effective October 4th. Jessica Perez, teacher at Ella G. Clark, to a teacher bilingual kindergarten at Ella G. Clark. Under appointments, non-certificated, Cheryl Lounsbury, a paraprofessional at Clifton Avenue. Step 1, 90 credits, $18,179, effective September 15th to June 30th. Annette Sherman, executive secretary, central office, salary $45,000 prorated, effective September 20th, 2010 to June 30th, 2011. Replacement for Elaine Garassi, who was terminated. And the addition of a consultant, Susan Smith-Foley, at $80 an hour. She's director certified, floor-time consultant. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay. I will make a motion.
Motion on the entire agenda, including Thomas and Mr. Silver is the second. Is there any discussion? Thomas, do you want me to read the roll call?
Call it.
Roll. On all the agenda items, Mr. Fink?
Yes, except page 9, item A, number 1.
Hold on, page 9, item 8.
Item A, like it out.
Item A,
Number 1.
number 1. Ms. Picchio?
Yes, on the agenda and addendum.
Mr. Ostreicher?
Yes, on the agenda except on page 11, number E4.
No, on page 11, E4. Mr. Seidler?
Yes, except, yes, except for page 9 and next page.
Except for, is that the same page 9, item A, number 1? Mr. Silver?
Yes, except page 4U, page 12, F, 1 through 11.
Oh, page 4, item U.
Right. Page 12, F, 1 through 11, and page 9, A1.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Lockett?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, I would just like to make a motion. Before we went in the back, I was approached by 2 students. I think it's important. We don't, we talked about the student body, being able to hear from them. We heard from a lot of adults. I think at some times when we need to hear from the kids. And they didn't know how to get here, and they really didn't know the process. So So they've been here all along, they didn't realize they could speak. So I would like to make a motion to allow these two young men to speak.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Feel free, students.
State your name, your address, and you'll be under a time limit, so go ahead.
How long Chance Edwards, 1821 Detea Road.
Durrell Marsh, 1167 Cecil Court.
I want to know what's going on with the school. It's really been chaos the last couple of days in school. Teachers don't know, like teachers just figured out what courses they're taking. Schedules are being switched constantly. People don't know what they're doing. Courses, people don't even have the courses that they need to graduate. There hasn't been like English classes, there hasn't been gym classes. People have like 6 lunches and things, it's just not working out. I want to know, like, I heard that there's reconstruction people are trying to figure out, like, y'all working on a plan. I want to know what it is, like, what's going on.
Okay. And,
I'd also like to know what's going on with the dress code, because it's not working in our school. I feel that it makes no sense at all. And teachers and principals are focusing too much and it's taking too much time away from learning, so, which is the main purpose of school. And
okay, I'll speak to one issue and I'll let everybody else speak to the other. We've spoken before. I've seen you both in the school. You know my position on uniforms. If it isn't working, then we need to do a better job about getting more kids in uniforms and appropriately. But that's my position. I'm not pretty much changing it. That's how I feel. You know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but for those that have been utilizing it and for the students and parents that have been working with it, it seems to be working. So what I can share is that I know that there's a lot of chaos, but that's not at this point on the table a changing of the dress code. So you know, I would encourage you, highly encourage you to make your best attempt to follow the dress code, to prevent yourself from having to deal with any undue disturbances in your educational process. That's my own personal opinion, and I'm believing that that's the policy and the opinion of the board, but I believe that Ms. Silva.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Through the chair, actually, I do remind you, Ms. Yulee wrote a memo to Ms. Silva several months ago asking for a meeting and direction as to the dress code, and she has informed, because I was in the high school the day and asked the same question, she has informed me she has not been so instructed. Ms. Silva, do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
So what is going on so we can get clear direction for all?
The board has made it very clear that there's a dress code that must be abided by. When I met with students, including board members, students indicated that while they agree, the representatives there and a former board member was there as well as our president, they clearly indicated that they understood why the board, as well as many adults, want the dress code. They don't want to wear uniforms. They understand the need to have appropriate dress. So while the board has issued this directive, it has become very difficult for the principal to have children abide by them. So yes, I believe that the board has to come back and discuss what our policy will be in the practice coming for this year.
Through the chair, specifically, if I recall the memo or memos, the principal and administration of the high school were asking for direction regarding appropriate consequences. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
So what would you like the board to do so the policy...
I would like to revisit it so that it's not necessary. I think we should revisit it very quickly at our next meeting and make a decision so that then I can direct the principal appropriately. Because consequences can't be developed if we don't clearly understand what the uniform policy means.
Okay.
May I?
All right.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Hold on one second. I want the rest of their questions to be answered first. I would like for Ms. Silva to just speak to some of these young men's concerns about, I know they heard some of
The
them,
record should reflect Mr. Fink due to medical reasons.
and I know that Dr. Mukura also has some issues that she could discuss as to how we're going to deal with the disarray. I mean, there's obviously been some challenges, and they're in the middle of it, they want to know what.
We will be visiting the principal tomorrow morning to find out why the schedules have not been
Through
issued.
the chair, isn't it correct that there's no director of guidance at the high school?
Yes, it's correct.
So then, let me ask you this, in all due respect, this rises to an employee issue. I sit here and hear every time the principal, Ms. Silva, did she not write a memo and discuss with you the need for help in the guidance department?
Yes,
To have
I
schedules?
cannot hire.
Bring it back.
The issue with the people that are not there cannot be addressed immediately. Therefore, I will be discussing it with the principal. I don't know why the schedules weren't done. It is not just in the hands of the director of guidance. It never has been, not completely.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you felt like if your questions were answered, but I do want to say this. I know that some of the answers that you're getting up here are not always exactly what you need to hear, what you want to hear, and sometimes even difficult. And I do want to tell you that I do commend you, because I know it's not easy to come in front of this room, in front of this board, in front of this community, and all these adults, and to state something that, you know, may be somewhat controversial or even tough. But we definitely hear you, and we appreciate that you came out. And and I have your same concerns. I feel that we need to handle that chaos and get those things in place. So what Ms. Silva said is true. Irregardless of the fact that someone has left, we need to go back to the school, revisit the leader, give them the support they need, and get you guys the order that is so needed for you to learn. You can't learn in chaos. And I'll be coming to the school. I've already been there twice this year. I've already walked the halls, escorted some kids back to class on my own, and I will undoubtedly be there to see what's going on. And I'll be visiting the school at least once a week to make sure that we're getting everything back on track. So, there's no quick and easy fixes here. All I can say is that